Pada tim SRG, Gulak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia Hype for M6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
The penultimate chapter of the Asian Esports Games group stage is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, with only a couple of matches left to go before the end of day number 1. Every single point will matter if these teams want to make it into the knockouts. Once again, my name is Stafa alongside Hans as we welcome you to one of the last games of the day.
I mean, it is going to be an interesting take with what is going to happen here between both of these two teams. All right, we've already taken notice of what it is all about. It's Kyrgyzstan going up against Myanmar, and from what we've seen in this specific group, it seems like Myanmar really just, starting to introduce themselves out with the games that we've been having so far in the competition, and they just really know how to win games, going up against Malaysia a while ago, and they're going to be going up against Kyrgyzstan, who also doesn't have a lot of familiar faces, but if they can get to introduce themselves, we've seen Myanmar and what they're capable of doing a while ago, or just a few minutes a while ago, and maybe it's Kyrgyzstan's turn, or maybe Myanmar would like to reintroduce themselves to us this time with this gameplay.
And so far, I'm already liking what Myanmar is starting off with, right? With the even Khalid, you already have a good degree of initiation and teamfight control. That'll give him a bit more advantage once you get into the mid-game stage. Kyrgyzstan, interestingly, gonna be prioritizing the alpha. And although this is a meta hero, it's not usually something you would first pick on the blue side.
Yeah, I think I was thinking more of I don't know, possibly a Hilda, but the Hilda's already banned. You also have other options as well, just like the Hylos, right? I think the Hylos would be a potential first pick as well, just because you'd love to keep the flexibility for your specific lineup. But again, it could go back to the concept of familiarity and comfortability for both of these teams, because they have been playing for a while now, ever since the games have started today. So maybe they got a groove on some of the heroes that they were using, and they were more than to utilize those for their advantage. And at this point, it's Kyrgyzstan leading towards that alpha, and there's an immediate pickup with that Tigreal coming in from Myanmar.
Tigreal pickup this early on is not something you see very commonly. I was initially thinking that Myanmar could consider comboing the Eve Khalid with Hylos or Gatot. Hylos was already taken by Kyrgyzstan, so I thought, oh, maybe we'll see Gatot Eve combo, which worked really well earlier. But it is the Tigreal instead, which is also another big AoE engagement. I can see this being pretty strong, but now that Kyrgyzstan know that Myanmar are going for these big all-out team fights, they should have the information they need to decide how they want to complete their draft.
If you are Kyrgyzstan at this point, you are still missing maybe an EXP laner, or depends where you want this Hylos to go, but a mid laner, something in the magic damage department is really the one that's missing for you as of the moment. Of course, the main valuable options here are the Vexana and the Aurora as we are speaking, but the Aurora was immediately banned already by Myanmar, so yeah, the Vexana could be a possible choice here if they would want to at least dominate a certain aspect, given that Eve could be stationary at times, especially when she uses her ultimate. So it's going to be, dependent on how they would want to execute the gameplay that they have.
Yeah. Kyrgyzstan could also optionally go for Valentina to steal one of the ultimates, because there's some pretty good ones over there, or the Kadita, which we do see teams go specifically to try and counter the Eve with, while also providing some iframes. The Sicilian is what Myanmar decided to ban instead, and that does actually make a lot of sense. Despite the area control that the heroes they have right now provide, it can actually be difficult to get to the backline on a Sicilian if they position correctly.
Yeah, so they're no longer gonna put that into their specific composition, which kind of gives me a curiosity Bob here, because again they had the Khalid, they also have the Tiger. So I feel like if there's a composition that can work very well against the Sicilian, it would be those two. But hey, they're the ones that are there and they completely banned it away. So maybe they have an idea in their minds that they would really want to work on in this one. So that's the Aurora and Sicilian, and then the Nathan also being removed here, which gave the opportunity for the Irithel to get picked up, which is quite interesting. It is at a disadvantage, maybe in the laning phase, the Beatrix could back a bit more in terms of a punch, but in terms of like late game, you would expect that the team fights are going to be very active with the Beatrix and the Irithel joining the party here.
Yeah, there's a lot of AoE potential coming out from Myanmar right now. And it's not often these days that a team will leave the jungle pit very last one. So I think immediately Kyrgyzstan needs to think, is there a possibility of this being like a last pick Fanny or something like that, right? Since that's not a hero that has been getting a lot of attention throughout the day. But it looks like they are already considering that. Akai would be a great way of handling it somewhat. And they'll go ahead and grab a Vexan as well. Oh, Arlet also not too bad, but I still do like Myanmar's lineup better.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, you're just missing a jungler, and from what I'm seeing, the Hayabusa is still open. So if you want to go at it, you can do it, but there is also a specific trend for some reason. I need to know more about this, because like we don't usually see a lot of export gameplay being played in the professional ranks, but this is also considered professional rank or international level of competition as well. So maybe they have found something in this Exborg, and although I have to say I don't think the Exborg has had a pretty good record in AEG Bangkok so far, given that a lot of people also know how to counter the Exborg in times of trouble, where it already is that Feraga armor being lost.
Yeah, Exborg is typically a conditional pick that you will grab if the enemy team has a good amount of front line or is more on the slow side. I think in this case it can definitely work, because it looks like Myanmar is just going all out into the team fight control type of schema, right? Where every hero on the squad is meant to slow, trap, or CC Kyrgyzstan to allow Sikoshi to do some damage. And they're already starting very aggressive.
Yeah, if you are playing the Khalid into the room, which Myanmar is not really doing, but if you have the Khalid on your side, you're gonna have to let Kyrgyzstan know that flying is gonna be there for most of the time, activating whenever there is necessary options to do so, and that's exactly what they're gonna do moving forward now.
Both junglers did end up start on the top side of the map, so if they follow typical jungle rotations, they will end up towards the goal lane. And I think that would be a good shout for Kyrgyzstan. I think they really want to focus down on having as much burst damage as possible on their cores, so that they can just straight up out DPS the control Myanmar has.
Yeah, and I think Myanmar also wanted to start from their respective orange buff, because based on how you look at it, the turtle, the first main objective, is going to be starting at the top side of the river. So Myanmar, I feel like from the games that we've watched them play, is a team that is really reliant on objectives for them to get their momentum in like the first few minutes. So as expected, they're going to try to go ahead and gank the advantage, but Kofu, knowing that, is just gonna stay under the turret, under that specific base objective. But Laliala is not gonna have a really good time here. Good thing she has that revitalized so that at some point she can take care of business here.
Yeah, that's the reason why Hylos always goes to Revitalize nowadays. We've seen some variations where players maybe try with Vengeance, but it just simply doesn't work. A Revitalize is way more effective and even spreads healing to the rest of your team as well. It just has a lot more value on these tanky frontline heroes. turtle now gonna be contested for Myanmar. Ayaz is in the area. RWM comes out. He does not want to commit just yet. So K is gonna be able to get the turtle quite easily, but final slash pushing Koo back into Kyrgyzstan. So with the flicker, he's able to escape with his life intact.
Yeah, that was a good take coming in from both of the teams. At least none of them became a casualty, and Kyrgyzstan was able to still hold out on their own. But still, it was a good take coming in from Myanmar, because it enabled them to at least be a little bit more distant in terms of the gold lead. They are now leading by at least 600, so that's maybe like a very minor item that is separating a hero or two here for both of the teams. But 3 minutes in, not a lot of pressure being given, just disciplined MLBB is being played by both Kyrgyzstan and Myanmar.
Yeah, so far so good. If we are able to delay this a little bit more, then Kyrgyzstan can at least build up a bit more farm before the big team fights come around. Because the mid game is where Myanmar is gonna be an absolute terror with the amount of crowd control it has. And speaking of that, co-fooling that terror firsthand with a 4-man dive.
At this point in time, right, if you are Myanmar, they're not really scared or shy to further engage on this advantage, because number one, you have the energy shields to your disposal. You can get a lot of gold in that one, and not only that, you don't get to see a lot of the other enemy heroes, so you're very much willing. Sometimes when you don't see the enemy heroes, right, you get to put yourselves at quite a disadvantage. But this time it's going to be another one of these, as Koo lands on the extra push, but Laliala is safely gonna get back to their respective defensive turret right before the turtle even starts.
With the draft matchups we're seeing here, Kyrgyzstan ideally wants to be ahead in farm compared to Myanmar. In fact, the best case would be if they were notably ahead, because if they're even, the team... Oh, hold on, Raging Sandstorm. Not sure if Hilang intended that. I thought it was used to escape, but it ended up working out anyways. Still landed. RWM goes in. I think Koo just flickered backwards actually, so missing out the implosion potential. K still able to get the turtle, but Koo gonna lose his life for that. Last Insanity comes out, Laliala gonna be burnt away and make that a triple for K from Myanmar.
Kyrgyzstan just took the entirety of that damage output, that right from at that point, which courtesy of really good positioning, when most players to the teams use their respective damage output or their skill sets, then there really wasn't anything that Kyrgyzstan can do, and now they're using their skills defensively, which usually is not really a good sign if you are the team with the highlight on your side. So Myanmar really pressing the right buttons here so that Kyrgyzstan will be able to react and also take those objectives for themselves in the process.
You mentioned earlier, Hans, so far today, Xborg hasn't been having the best success rate, but K already 4-0 at this point. This is when an Xborg is going to be at the strongest. When you have a lead like this, your damage no longer becomes a nuisance, it becomes a legitimate problem. Oh, Purify used by Rina Blue, and then the RWM comes up. Great follow-up from Lunalit to pick up that kill.
That was a simple way to utilize the Tigreal at this point in time, right? Not a lot of highlight plays needed. All you needed to do was just zone out your respective opponents, and look at that. That's exactly what he's doing as of the moment. He kind of like went a little overboard, and we know what that means, because you're not supposed to usually do that. So it's quite understandable that we are nearing this point in time. But as of the moment, this is really a chance for us to, maybe talk about some of the right things that Myanmar has been doing all throughout this specific game as to why Kyrgyzstan is unable to take control of the situation, even though they have the tools to do so.
Honestly, if you ask me, it's a very similar situation to the previous game we just watched as well, right? Where one team is playing a more default lineup, right? Nothing wrong with it. It's just very simple and basic, and that can usually work. but the other team is playing a heavy team fight control setup, right? And it's you're not able to freely walk in like any part, the half of the map, and they can feel very confident to invade you as well, right? So it just feels very, very difficult and sometimes even impossible to do anything because you can already see how much damage. That's just a double kill as she dives the tier 2.
I think the difference from that game where a lot of export players have been losing all throughout the competition is the fact that there has been a lot of peel damage, right? Compared to what we're currently seeing now, Kay has been roaming around so freely given that Lunalin is on their side. Usually when you have the export, the Eve would be a really good counter to it because right then, before you use your last insanity, your Firaga armor is already going to be popped off within like the first 30 seconds of team fight. So I feel like that is what Myanmar has been doing very well all throughout this game. In Kyrgyzstan, very limited are their places or are their spots where they can contribute. So a team fight here could really change up some things as another turtle has been secured here by Myanmar.
The difficulty is that Kyrgyzstan, even though they have the weaker team fight lineup, aren't actually good at split pushing either, right? Because they went for the Arlet to go for CC. So again, it's a situation where you can't even afford to have your members split up across the map to maybe get some damage done. Myanmar can very easily group up as 4 or 5 consistently and not really get punished for it.
Yeah, and not only that, right? Lunalin and Lang also has all the confidence in the world to roam around the map. They know that they're the ones in the advantage, and Lang almost seeing the seeing the alpha as at the moment, but she is gonna be safe. And not only that, they are also gonna try to put a bit more pressure into the minion waves so that Kyrgyzstan is going to have a bit of a hard time trying to stop it from happening. But damage output of IS is there, so Lang's going to be setting himself away from the damage output, or maybe just bring the others here.
Fear of Alpha not gonna get the max distance, and RWM captures everyone in the implosion, and the full combo from Myanmar is just way too much for Kyrgyzstan to handle. 3 members decimated in a single instant.
Oh, what placement by Myanmar. They sure know what they are doing in the previous or in the following games that we have been seeing from them. A tremendous performance that is being brought about by this specific team right here that has really put them in a very good condition for them to continue to win. Now all of the outer and inner turrets have been destroyed. Good thing is that Kyrgyzstan still has those holy defenses intact for them, courtesy of those inhibitors. But yeah, Myanmar is closing in, and they're closing in pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be able to find too much here. Even the final slash on Ku, they can't actually punish him. There's too much of a lead. Myanmar is 11,000 gold ahead of Kyrgyzstan in 10 minutes. In fact, I feel like they could even end with this first Lord if they do it right.
Yeah, that is going to be the key as the waves are somewhat being pushed all throughout. But there's going to be the implosion again.
Now Blast Insanity comes in. Ku not able to follow up as the final slash actually cancels his follow-up Sacred Hammer here. So because of that, Myanmar are probably not going to be able to end the game with this push exactly, but will be able to do a solid amount of damage. Kyrgyzstan only able to keep their top and bottom inhibitors standing.
Yeah, and the total minutes in this game is even less than the total gold lead that is brought about by Myanmar. Now that, another one of those have already been finished, here comes the last Insanity.
Yep, another last Insanity just to follow up on Sikoshi. Laliala barely. Oh no! The flicker forward by Lunalin! Aggressive play from the Eve to make sure that Laliala doesn't get a free get out of jail card. Myanmar closing the grip on Kyrgyzstan, and they are not letting go. Even the RWM Purify gone on Rina Blue. They want this top inhibitor.
They want to make sure that they can finish this game as fast and as clean as possible, but they might just go for it. Oh, that's a difficult, a sorry miss there coming from Airy. He was looking for a really good play so that they could at least potentially make their way back into this game, but Myanmar having a really good presence of mind, not really forcing a lot of things here. They know that in less than a minute, the next Lord of the competition is going to be arriving, and that is going to be an evolved Lord for sure, knowing that it will be skipping that 12-minute mark for it to wreak havoc in the Land of Dawn. Maybe go to the top lane inhibitor, but of course, as per usual, the Lord will just march as to where the easier access is gonna be like. So Kyrgyzstan, they're gonna have to, slow their ground down and hopefully look for something that could get them back to this game.
I would normally, under these circumstances, try to say what Kyrgyzstan would need to do to come back into this game, but this is actually kind of a hopeless situation. Only way Kyrgyzstan wins this is if Myanmar just throws themselves, like feeds the entire team to them at once.
Like crazy.
And that is obviously not going to happen, right? They're just gonna take the next Lord and end. There's literally nothing Kyrgyzstan can do but hope for a miracle.
There it is. The final inhibitor broken by Myanmar. Kyrgyzstan's base is completely destroyed now. All that is left is the crystal that is powering the will of this team to propel even further. But when you take a look at the gold lead, man, 13 minutes in, you even have the 14,000 gold lead. And the Lord hasn't even arrived yet, but Myanmar is making Kyrgyzstan feel the pressure right from start to finish. And cool, Lunalin, this mid-roam duo has really paid off dividends for Myanmar in this one, and they are looking to finish this one off.
Oh, I think Lunalin made a mistake there. Actually wasted her wheel-world manipulation in the mid lane. They're still gonna engage though. Glorious pathway to slow down the Lord. Penetrate missed the implosion, but there's two Purify, so Ku not able to actually catch many people. But Liang just jumping back. The Lord still alive on top of the crystal, and Sakoshi already having the double kill. Make that the triple, make that the quadra, but the fourth kill is the crystal. A very easy victory for Myanmar.
Clean, if I should say. That was a clean gameplay coming in from Myanmar, and this is first seed material that they're showing us it off. I don't know what else to tell you. They just know how to play the game very well, work as to where they are very strong, and they just managed to obliterate the defenses that was brought Kyrgyzstan upon getting their respective victory.
Even looking at the item builds is a little bit depressing because of how much of a gold difference there was in this game. As Ice Queen's wand on both Lunalin and K, they are playing for that full slowdown CC composition, and they can just greed it all out too. Right? Sakoshi already nearly maxed out on items, having both the Great Dragon Spear and the Malefic Gun, so it's impossible to catch her, not to mention everyone else on Myanmar.
Yeah, and that last insanity, that Firaga armor, has been a pain in the butt for Kyrgyzstan, to be specific, because you have the Ice Queen wand as well to stop them from moving so fast whenever you hit those first skill abilities into perfection. And then not only that, right, you also have a lot of that brute force breastplate and also the immortality that could give you another chance at it. So yeah, it's just very difficult to bring that export down, especially with the kind of composition that Kyrgyzstan has. They only had the Beatrix, but the Beatrix couldn't seem to help them in a certain situation because she doesn't even have enough items yet, and that gave a lot of chances, a lot of wins for Myanmar to get the victory.
Yeah, unfortunately, the thing is about this meta, because it rewards so much creativity and flexibility in the drafting, if you're not able to approach the draft with a analytical mind of countering your opponent while drafting a correct lineup for yourself, and just go for the basics, right? It's not gonna work out against a team that has a lot more knowledge on how they want to approach their gameplay style. Myanmar definitely entered this game knowing what they were going to play, and that is something that Kyrgyzstan unfortunately didn't quite match in terms of quality. But with that, I believe we have only one more group stage match before the end of the day, guys. So as usual, we're gonna take a break, set up the stage, get the players up there, and when we come back, it's gonna be the final group stage match. We'll see you guys.
Pada tim SRG, Gulak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia diraih for M6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia fight for M6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia fight for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia fight for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan. Ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia fight for F6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia time for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan. Ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia di time for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan. Ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Kepada tim SRG, Good luck Red Giant. Banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia time for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan. Ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
Pada tim SRG, Golak Red Giant, banggakan Selangor, banggakan Malaysia.
Champion juara wakil Malaysia fight for N6 in Malaysia.
Keunggulan. Ianya tidak hadir dengan mudah. Ia tidak menunggu sesiapa. Dan ia tidak memilih sesiapa. Keunggulan adalah potensi hebat yang tersembunyi dalam diri. Seperti benih yang menunggu masa untuk bercambah, sedia untuk mekar hingga berkembang indah. Ketika cabaran mendatang, ada yang hanya memerhati. Kekuatan sebenar lahir dari dalam diri. Dibangkitkan oleh jiwa yang menyokong teguh tanpa henti. Kadangkala, saat kita rasa jauh dari apa yang kita impikan, ia muncul dari arah yang tak dijangka. Saat itu, kita sedar potensi yang sebenar ada di sekeliling. Ini semua bukanlah satu kebetulan, tapi kita yakin ini semuanya aturan takdir. Setiap langkah bukan hanya untuk diri sendiri, tapi juga untuk mereka yang berdiri dan berjuang bersama agar kita melangkah lebih jauh, menjadi lebih hebat.
Bangkitlah rakyat Malaysia. Kita bersatu menyokong sepenuh jiwa. Demi jalur gemilang kebanggaan negara. Tiba masanya untuk menjadi greater than ever.
It has been a long and grueling marathon of a day here in day one of the Asian Esports Games, Bangkok, for all of the players involved and us as well. But we are finally down to our final group stage match. My name is Stuff, and once again, I'm joined by Hans. How are you feeling, sir?
Nah, bro, I'm just stoked with all of the matches that have happened, and I'm so happy that we're getting to see more MLBB action, probably for the last time of the day. And it's quite interesting and surprising to me is the fact that we did cover all of the Malaysian games today, which is cool in a sense, you know, because you rarely ever get to see it also. But on the other hand, we were also able to at least showcase most of the countries in their respective group as well. Because again, it's gonna change every once in a while, right? So just from a while ago, you've seen the players coming in from Kyrgyzstan, very happy. And I feel like, you know, in the midst of all of that, in the midst of all of the wins and losses that both of these teams are somewhat accumulating, it's just a matter of exposure. Like you get to be part of a tournament that is a first for a lot of the other countries out here, and that is already a win on its own. And maybe to them, getting a win in the standings could just be a bonus here. They're very happy with the result. And so far, speaking of results, here's what we have as of the moment.
Now, we already saw earlier in the day that China, Vietnam, as well as Indonesia and Philippines will be qualifying from Group A and D. But we're still waiting on the official results for Group B and C as well. Currently, in Group B, Myanmar and Malaysia are taking top spots, but Hong Kong currently tied in third. So we'll have to see what happens with this last matchup to see if there's any changes there. And for Group C, we have Saudi Arabia at top, with Cambodia and Laos tied in second and third place as well. So one final match, we'll see whether or not there's any ties going on. and which teams will get to join the others in the playoff stage.
You know, I'm pretty curious about that Group C, because again, we have three regions there. That's Saudi Arabia, Laos, and Cambodia. Those are three countries that, are pretty relevant to the MLBB scene as well. We've seen them in international tournaments, and to think that, amidst all of that, Saudi Arabia is the team that really came out on top. It just goes to show you the development of that. The development of this country. I mean, if you are hosting one of the biggest tournaments like that happened all year, I guess you're gonna be extra motivated to showcase what you can do on a general basis, and I feel like that is exactly what they did. So now it's gonna be Cambodia and Laos trying to fight it out for that one last spot. Meanwhile, it's Malaysia and I believe Hong Kong trying to fight it together as well, and a win here could potentially seal the deal for Malaysia to make it into the next stage of competition as well.
Yeah, but it is actually pretty tight between the second and third places of both these groups. So we don't really know for sure what exactly is going to happen, and that's why this final match is going to be a very, very important one to make sure that these teams are able to make it on towards the next stage. So without further ado, let's jump on into the draft here, and it looks like it's going to be Kyrgyzstan on the blue side versus Malaysia on the red.
All right, the last time that we saw Kyrgyzstan match up against Myanmar, it didn't bode so well just because it was IS holding on to that alpha. They had a tendency of picking up that first pick alpha, which not a lot of people would do now, because you'd want to reserve your jungler for like the second or the third phase, so that you'd have a bit of a grasp on like what the first two picks from the opposing side is going to be looking like. Meanwhile, for Malaysia, all momentum is currently on their side after experiencing that first loss going up against Myanmar. They just had a much cleaner sense of gameplay right away, and that's been showcased from the previous moments that we had right here.
Yep. I think both these teams have been able to share that emotion, in fact, as actually both sides have been defeated by Myanmar on this stream itself. Therefore, I think they will have a little bit of that knowledge of what they're going to be dealing with. But on paper, I would think that Malaysia has a slightly better chance going into this, unless Kyrgyzstan brings out something surprising.
Yeah, I mean, from what we've seen a while ago, I believe their standing is at 1-2. I'm not sure if it's 1-2 or 1-1, but it's really gonna be an important matchup as to, especially for Malaysia. You're right. I feel like this has more bearing for Malaysia than Kyrgyzstan. The weight of the games that we're gonna be having is really impeccable, and in terms of what we're seeing right now, a bit scattered are the bans for both of the teams. You have the Joy Bruno and the Matilda banned out by the side of Kyrgyzstan. Meanwhile, when you look at the other side, it's also allocated towards every role, so they just don't want to match themselves up in a specific manner. But this is the Eve who's already gonna be open for Kyrgyzstan here, so Malaysia has that option to go for that Suyu if they want to, or to maybe go for something else here that would really be a good answer towards that Eve.
Yeah, Eve I think is a safe opening here. Even its direct counters are not typically going to be the most effective overall, so it's a very valuable hero around to have in team fights. It is commonly countered by picking up something like a Tina though, so maybe one might keep that in the back pocket. But they're gonna start off with the Hylos and the Hayabusa.
I like the Hylos here because again, it kind of like eliminates the threat of the Eve somewhat getting the slow in. Yes, of course, there's still gonna be like a slow factor whenever she would proc the real world manipulation. However, when you look at the other side, the Hylas could possibly neutralize that with the glorious path lane that would be given in pretty easily. The Hayabusa could be picked up as well, or the Hayabusa was probably picked up as well, in a sense that they really wanted to go for the backline access. So Quinn is gonna have quite an easier time trying to get to that point to reach maybe the Eve and also the Beatrix to join the party as well. And the Tigreal is just gonna be one of those vision checks together with that Hylos, because they quite share the same durable tactic, but not the same in terms of the strategies that they would want to approach in this game.
Indeed. So, Malaysia end up for the Vexana instead. It's an okay pickup, but I definitely would have preferred something like the Valentina instead, since now you have both the real world manipulation and the implosion to choose from. It would provide you with a lot of options for playing around that. Glorious Pathway is not too bad to deal with RWM, as you mentioned, but that alone I don't think is quite enough for Malaysia right now.
Yeah, especially when you tend to consider the damage output that's going to be brought about by Kyrgyzstan here. You have the Beatrix and you also have the Eve. So the wave clear is really going to be amazing here for the blue side. So I felt like Malaysia really wanted to answer that as well, because they're going to have a hard time trying to get inside the base of Kyrgyzstan just because of the Bea and the Eve that we've mentioned from a while ago. So now I think the game plan here for Kyrgyzstan is to try to remove as much gold laners as possible that could deal really good crowd control, and Harith is actually going to be one of them. I'm thinking if the Nathan is also going to be removed here by Kyrgyzstan, but considering that there are still a lot more heroes out there, maybe they just wanted to take the Nathan out to keep themselves secure whatsoever.
I do still think that Nathan as a hero can be pretty busted in the right hand, so I wouldn't get rid of it at all. Besides that, if they would think that something like Iritel would be a problem with mobility, then maybe that's also something to consider. Or the 1-1, though right now, Malaysia probably not going to be leading hard in that direction unless we suddenly see like a really hard form of crowd control, like the Cho or the Kaja, which we previously saw, for example.
Yeah, the show actually is still open. Like, it really just depends on the comfortability of these players, on how comfortable are they with using those kinds of heroes. Because again, we haven't seen a lot of those in this competition so far. I think the only show that I saw that seemed remarkable was Vivian's in that second game when the Philippines went up against Indonesia and Indonesia won that fight. But as of this moment, they're gonna try to again separate themselves towards that. So it's a total of 2 different heroes removed from the scene, and in addition with the Angela as well. But the Gacha is gonna be secured by Malaysia.
The Gatot and Hylos combination is certainly a potent one. It's a little less reliable than something like Eve and Tigreal, but still pretty good to make sure that you have some team fight presence in comparison to your opponent. When you see this though, a very common counter pick in the EXP lane is going to be CC, because that's just the hero that's very good at dealing with these bulky sandbag styles and claiming lane dominance against them somewhat. For the jungle section, with Alpha already gone, most assassins are going to have a bit of a hard time really whittling down both Hylos and Gatot, especially if Malaysia intends to run both revitalizers as well. Looks like Kyrgyzstan are going to settle on Julian.
Yeah, I think I like the answer just because of the fact that they needed a hero that could answer to the early game scaling that the Hayabusa is going to give towards them. So in addition to that, with the Hayabusa having early to mid game damage, the concern is going to be that late game insurance. And I feel like this is a good answer, already showcasing, if I remember correctly or if I see it correctly, that is that's the Claude M6 skin, right? I don't know if she's gonna use it. I hope she does, because it's gonna be the first time that I'm gonna see it, and I want to see it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool skin. Some of my viewers showed me the video spotlight of it as well. It's definitely very clean. For it to be a nice thing to see. Claude won't have lane priority against Beatrix, but he will also be able to scale up to match her towards the late game. So that's a win condition that Malaysia can play around. If they're somehow able to get a ball with Hayabusa, they actually have really good ways of whittling down and doing finishes with the Ogi Shadow Kill.
Yeah, and in addition, you also have like the glorious pathway coming in from the Hyla, so I feel like that's a really good combination with the Avatar of the Guardian, and that could possibly be what we're gonna see here from Malaysia. That those layers of skills that have been really crucial. Now it's Rena Blue here, looking for some sort of trouble, but she's also trying to dish out that damage output towards Hani, and both mid laners are gonna be hurt, but they're still fine either way.
Okay, in comparison, Malaysia will have slight lane priority early on, though once we reach level 4, we're definitely going to see Kyrgyzstan become a little bit more active. In fact, that level 3 timing is something we have to keep an eye on, because these level 3 spike junglers like Julian and Stuyo sometimes want to use that timing to go for early ganks instead, so it doesn't look like Ayaz is planning that. In fact, it's Quinn and Keyboy who are already invading the steel camps.
Yeah, as much as the Julian is going to be effective in the early game, you can't really do a lot until you reach the 4th level where your ultimates are going to be activated. So Malaysia's like taking advantage of this as we speak, not really letting Kyrgyzstan have an easy time in terms of farm, which led to the opportunity of him going at it immediately and trying to close it down, while Malaysia is putting themselves in position to be able to take this turtle.
They will scout out that Ayaz is down here. Despite having the jungle camp stolen, the Julian's still able to match Quinn in terms of EXP, so I don't think we're gonna see any notable retribution disadvantages for the first one.
It is already expected that the Claude and the Beatrix are going to be on the top side, trying to go for those major outplays, but in this specific scenario, Malaysia and Kyrgyzstan are definitely looking for a way here so that they can continue to fight in this turtle pit that we are already in. And you see it, Kyrgyzstan trying to find themselves in position.
Yeah, Laliala doesn't have ult yet, but Keyboy staying in front a bit too long. Unfortunately, not enough damage whittled down. Sha actually jumping in with a tiny bit of HP with a Revitalize, able to crush Laliala and still doing a lot of damage actually. This would be a perfect time for Quinn to go in. She still has the Ogi Shadow Kill. It looks like she's gonna go ahead and prioritize the objective instead.
That was 2 for the price of 1. It was Laliala going down for Keyboy and Sha, but even so, they managed to, take control of the advantage in terms of their goals, because again, it was just a good allocation of skills, and there is going to be the push once more. They will not allow the Hayabusa to even go back into the shadows and land on those kills.
A perfect reaction timing coming in from Laliala here. I think Quinn definitely needed to respect the possibility of that, because if you jump in, you only need a moment to get caught in that implosion, then you're just full comboed into the tower. You couldn't even use the glorious pathway to get out.
Again, this is a chance for Kyrgyzstan to introduce themselves the same way that Myanmar reintroduced who they were when they went up against Malaysia and they won it in flying colors. So at this point in time, Kyrgyzstan holding on to a 400 gold lead, I feel like that really isn't much of a difference, but when you take a look at it from like an item standpoint, there is a lot of possible things that this game can go depending on how Malaysia is going to be trying to execute those team fights.
Quinn going for that Heptasis straight away first. Definitely wants to prioritize the burst. A death this early on Hayabusa is not ideal, but still manageable. This is a very snowball-oriented jungle hero. The more kills you can get, the more effective he's going to be, especially once he picks up the Sky Piercer.
And now, slowly but surely, they're trying to secure something else here. But Hani, there was a stun, and there were a dozen of yo-yos getting thrown at her. Good presence of mind to just go ahead and use that Purify, but this leaves him vulnerable. So the game plan here for Malaysia is to try to work on macro first, and then maybe we catch up, and if we do have time, let's go and take the turtle.
A lot of teams today have been drafting compositions that aren't the best macro-wise, but Malaysia does have Claude and Hayabusa, so they actually don't have to worry too much in that. That's why they'll go ahead and give Ayaz the turtle for free. I don't think they're gonna be looking for any straight-up team fights yet.
But as of the moment, you rarely see Malaysia being at the passenger seat this early on in the matchup. They were always the aggressors, you know. They would always try to find a way to go at it. But as of this moment, that was not the case. And they wanted to continue to build on the momentum, thus bringing down most of the turrets first, and at the same time forcing a lot of those ultimates coming in from very important people here, as Malaysia standing their ground, but Kyrgyzstan, they're gonna have to find a way to hold on to this. It's not gonna be with them for long if they take it for granted.
In terms of scaling, I think both teams actually have a good amount, right? Because on the Malaysia side, you have Fao Fao and Hani, Quinn as well, if he's able to get some farm in. And then Kyrgyzstan obviously has Kofu and Eri, who can actually do some good damage once you get into the later stages. So there isn't any pressure on these teams to try and end the game too early, for example, but Quinn ideally wants to get some kills, and that's what they're trying to set up right now. We see the Enhanced Sword coming out, Ogi Shadow Kill as well, unfortunately bounces to the minion wave. Great timing for Ayaz actually. Target Guardian in the mid lane because Kyrgyzstan are trying to rush down the tower. Eri pops the Vengeance early on. Quinn, no Quad Shadow, so not able to follow up. That means no kills for either side.
As much as there were a lot of skills being thrown, and yeah, I was about to say that are they done, but yeah, this time around they were probably done already. Most of Kyrgyzstan is already at beyond half health, and this is where the objectives are really going to come into play for Malaysia. Knowing where to target or knowing where to put your targets have really been the key for them to, you know, at least get damage output done whenever possible. As you can see, it is Papa right at the back. Yeah, but they're gonna keep going.
Yeah, Real World Manipulation has already come out as well, and we've already lost Keyboy and Shao on the side of Malaysia. Ogi Shadow Kill, unfortunately, just not doing enough damage at this point, so Malaysia will have to give this turtle up to Kyrgyzstan and go for the split push instead with Fao Fao down bottom. Kyrgyzstan looking a lot more comfortable in these team fight situations.
Ooh, that was a good note to take coming in from Malaysia, just, you know, forcing Kofu of that flicker to be able to get away. And as of the moment, right, you start to see 5.2k gold lead already for that Beatrix. But one thing is, there's one thing that I really noticed is that Fafao already is at 6k. So even though his team is losing, the point where he really has somewhat of it, someone who tries to find a way to score, she is really getting most of those opportunities. And yeah, Kofu stays alive. Meanwhile, when you take a look at it, it's Malaysia adapting to the strategy of the meta that most of the competitions have been utilizing on.
This claw can definitely be a late game condition, but they're able to catch out a really big catch here. Avatar the Guardian is the back line though, gonna be punishing Ayaz, and now Arena Blue gonna be chased down as well. Eri finally catches up, Purify used by Hani, and the Bennett's Rage gonna be securing double kill in the hands of Kofu. It's gonna be a 2-for-1 trade as Rina Blue is somehow able to escape, and now Shah gonna be targeted. Quinn with Yogi Shadow Kill though, gets a beautiful shutdown, and Laliala doesn't have the implosion to catch her this time.
Yeah, that was a really good sequence there coming in from both of the teams. Kyrgyzstan noticing that they were a bit overextending in that middle portion of the map, but Malaysia also knowing where to position themselves during clashes like They simply did not allow Kyrgyzstan to take a break during the last 20 to 30 seconds of the team fight. And I feel like that is exactly what's supposed to be done as we speak, right? So with that being said, 7.7, 7.8k for the Claude already, building up the holy trinity of the attack speed that we have. Meanwhile, you only have around 6.4k for that Beatrix, and I really do think and feel that this is something that Malaysia can definitely pull off unless Kyrgyzstan has been working wonders for this day.
Speaking of working wonders, they're going to be continuing onto the Lord. Glorious halfway comes out. Quinn into the backline. RWM comes out. A beautiful turtle guard on multiple members. Eri and Reina Blue already blown up. Keep going getting picked off though. We do see Kofu still doing a lot of damage, but Malaysia standing strong. And here comes Pao Pao from the flank. Aya is going to be picked off. Mega kill for Quinn as she finds Kofu. That is going to be an absolute destruction from Malaysia as 4 members of Kyrgyzstan are taken out. And this is gonna be a free Lord.
See, this is what I was talking about, right? That one major change up that Malaysia needs, and all you need to do is just wait for the perfect timing for you to strike, and you're gonna be able to do whatever it is that you are doing. And not only that, right? For Kyrgyzstan, they really tried their best. They didn't want to leave anyone behind, and I feel like that is just a moment there that a lot of people can possibly share with the map that we have right over here. Is Malaysia looking forward to ending things once and for all, marching into the mid lane.
Yeah, Quinn and Pao Pao definitely have the farm they need now. Laliala looking for an engage. Not really able to find it. No flicker right now to engage onto Malaysia, but since it's the first Lord of the game, Kyrgyzstan actually have a good amount of wave clear, so they won't take too much damage to their inhibitor.
Yeah, the Panda Express was also at some point taken out already. They want to go for the kill already. It's dinner time.
Yeah, it's a full dive from Malaysia, but they don't really have enough minions to follow up on it. Eri being engaged on with the Ogi Shadow kill. Vengeance comes out. They're gonna see Eri still survive that, but that is a battle spell baited out. Malaysia gonna finally back off from the pressure being applied to Kyrgyzstan's base.
Yeah, I feel like for Malaysia, they're gonna wait for the next Lord to spawn. They don't want to force things as of the moment, knowing that Kyrgyzstan, this is what I was talking about at the start of the draft, right? The Beatrix and the Eve are gonna be your main problems later on if you want to finish your game as soon as you can. And as of the moment, it is Malaysia playing their cards right, but Kyrgyzstan, for some reason, they're still able to defend at some point. So yeah, we're about to find that out right now just to be sure.
Kyrgyzstan just generally has a pretty solid high ground defense. Beatrix has some of the best wave clear for a marksman in the game. Then you have the RWM and the Implosion as well, just to scare Malaysia a little bit from walking too close up. That's why Malaysia isn't able to full push in yet, even though they've been able to build up a pretty nice lead at this point. The safest thing for them to do is to wait for the Lords and continue farming on Pao Pao and Quinn.
Yeah, like if you're Malaysia, you're gonna have to find a way to lure them out of their base, or maybe exhaust most of the skills that were already thrown at you. And I feel like Malaysia's been doing a really good job in terms of that, and here it goes again. They wanted to go for an extra kill here.
Vengeance not going to be able to save her there. Even a Winter Crown being used by Pao Pao, don't think it was necessary, but it is fine. Laliala trying to do her best to make sure that Malaysia is not chasing down the rest of her teammates. Not able to find the angle for Implosion yet, because she also recognizes they just simply do not have the burst damage anymore.
And mind you, the Lord is already there, and this is going to be an evolved Lord for sure. Kyrgyzstan looking for a way to possibly contend for this one, but Malaysia, both Shah and Honey or Hani rather, is not really allowing as the fight is about to continue.
Yeah, the Lord has already been claimed, and Ayaz is gone. The Blazing Duet doing a lot of damage to the front line of Kyrgyzstan. Laliala also going to be collateral damage as 2 members of Kyrgyzstan are sacrificed here, and they're not even able to gain any ground in the Lord pit.
Yeah, as of the moment, it was just a really good set of skills that was used by Malaysia to further prolong that team fight from not happening, right? Because again, it was a good notion as to how they would want to fully execute in terms of their gameplay, and they were able to do that consistently due to them always knowing when the objectives are about to arrive. And when you do that, anything literally is possible, and you would continue to get most of your gold, most of your objectives, and it seems like you're going to be good to go. Like sometimes you just don't feel it, but when you feel it, it's right there.
Malaysia right now definitely in the driver's seat for this game. Shouldn't take too much longer for them to finally break in and claim this victory, but they do still have to be somewhat cautious. Like I mentioned before, Kyrgyzstan actually has really good high ground defense, and if Malaysia ends up funneling on accident into the wrong area and gets caught out in all the AoE spells, especially if they end up giving more farm to the Beatrix, the game can quite easily turn around on them as well. So there needs to be some care put into it, but Malaysia definitely has the leeway to continue applying pressure.
Yeah, I feel like the pressure is depending on where you would want to put it. Because like in terms of the Lord Dicks, I feel like they've had a bit of a struggle getting those objectives for themselves, and now that at least there's gonna be less than 20 seconds when both Laliala and Ayaz are gonna be alive, but rest assured that Malaysia is going to be doing their best to try to get at least one inhibitor in this fight.
Unfortunately, Malaysia didn't end up sinking the bottom wave, but they should be able to get mid and top quite easily. Glorious Pathway gonna be dropped down as the Lord is right onto the crystal. AOG comes out. Malaysia continuing to push straight in as Kyrgyzstan is actually quite scattered right now. Shah taking a lot of damage, and now the Ogi Shadow kill finally comes out. RWM maybe a little bit too late as it's already a monster kill. Double kill for Quinn, and Kyrgyzstan is just falling apart. Triple kill. Killing spree. A full wipeout on Kyrgyzstan alongside a maniac for Quinn as Malaysia secures a victory against Kyrgyzstan in their final group stage match.
Okay, Quinn, we see you, Quinn. My goodness, she just literally went berserk on the rest of the members of Kyrgyzstan, and that is exactly how you finish off a game. What an incredible performance coming in from Quinn, and at the same time, she was just right there. Props to the rest of the team as well for just trying to put the peels on those tanky HP bars, and they were able to just dish out a ton of damage for the end of that game, and what could possibly be a surefire way for them to make it into the playoffs.
Yep, Malaysia. Their plan with this draft is basically just to create space and make sure that Quinn and Fao Fao are able to get farm quite easily. And although Quinn did get disrupted a little bit early on, Kyrgyzstan was not able to continue applying the same amount of pressure, which started opening up the map a little bit more and getting those Sky Piercer stacks to more easily dish out damage with that Ogi Shadow kill.
And of course, the MVP of that matchup is going to be none other than Quinn. She already noticed that's Quinn with a 1 for an eye. Very satisfied with her performance as well. You rarely ever see this, right? But again, this is a chance for them to showcase what they're made of. And from what we're seeing, it's either like she's shy or she's very happy she's very happy with her performance, but she's just not used to the camera. You gotta get used to it, girl, if you're playing like that.
Yeah, that was very impressive gameplay, and I think Quinn has definitely been showing us all day that she is very proficient on those assassin heroes. A little more uncomfortable when we saw her on something like the X board, but on the Hayabusa and the Nolan, her performance was stellar. That first death in the initial stages of the game was the only time she was ever caught out. After that, it was just all the way a snowball for Team Malaysia.
And I feel like they were also waiting for Fafao to scale up as fast as possible. not really dying at least once in the midst of all of the pressure that was given. They were still able to take control of it, and now Malaysia has managed to win at least 3 games. And based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm looking at everything as I am speaking. I feel like Myanmar stayed undefeated for the entirety of Group B. Meanwhile, Malaysia not really falling behind, only losing to them.
Yeah, I think that should probably mean that Malaysia should be moving on in their group alongside them, but we'll wait a little bit until the points are probably tabulated so that we can announce the official top 8 for the Asian Esports Games. But gotta give kudos to all of the players that have played today. It has been a grueling experience. They've had to play so many matches against so many different teams in a single day. And yeah, they've been real troopers about it. They've pushed all the way through. Congratulations to the teams who got the scores necessary to move on to the knockouts. And for the teams that unfortunately will be eliminated in this stage, do not worry. There's always going to be future opportunities for you to participate and show the world what you've got.
Yeah, I honestly feel like this is just the start of what seemed to be a really good, ecosystem, a really good environment for women's MLBB, because again, you rarely ever get to see moments such as these ones, right? There's always going to be MLBB for the men's division, and I feel like this is a chance for us to showcase what the women can do as well. But it seems like it is safe to say that we're not going to be having any sort of tiebreakers as we speak, because again, all of the first and the second seeds have already been determined. It's China and Vietnam coming out of Group A. It's Myanmar and Malaysia, the teams that we have just casted right now, making it past Group B. It's Saudi Arabia and Cambodia for that Group C. And now it's Indonesia and the Philippines in Group D. Good thing to know that, we still have a loser's bracket, double elimination at some point in time. So compared to a best of 1, now you have a little bit more of that breathing room.
Yeah, I didn't know that we would already be able to see what the brackets are looking like for the playoffs starting tomorrow, but we actually get to see what the matchups are going to be. And like you mentioned, Hans, there is going to be a double bracket format, so even if they lose a match, they will still have that second life. But these are really, really interesting matchups, right? We're going to have China versus the Philippines, then Myanmar versus Cambodia, Saudi Arabia going up against Malaysia, and lastly, Indonesia versus Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the prominent regions have made it into the playoffs, right? Now, I feel like with all of the familiar regions that have been there, it's not a surprise that all of them have made it into this stage of the competition, being the second best or being the best in their respective groups. And I am sure that there are a lot of things that they are looking forward to showing all of us in terms of what could be either the favorites to win it all, or maybe the dark horses that we are yet to hear from right as of the moment and as we speak.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams have really surprised us today. I think we've seen a lot of very interesting games today as well, right? Because this side of MLBB, the team women's MLBB tournament here in Asian Esports Games, is a very rare opportunity to expose what women MLBB players are capable of across all different regions of Asia, and it has been an honor to be able to cast for the group stages. But starting tomorrow, it is going to be the playoffs, which means even tighter games, and they will be best of 3 series as well, so we'll get to witness even more competition then. But for today, we're officially gonna close off day 1 of the Asian Esports Games Women's MLBB Tournament. Once again, my name is Stafa, this is Hans. Thank you very much everyone for joining us and being patient with us throughout the day, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!